win. But before we do that, big shouts to local businesses that support this podcast. We got Konoz Restaurant, 16 Clinton Street, Newark, Brick City, New Jersey, mouth-watering cuisine. Some of the best you've ever eaten and the best you've ever seen. Halsey News, 2 Prudential Drive, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Say hello to Shahida and Sadiqa. They'll be glad to meet you. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. Also, the Fruit House at 764 Broad Street, Brick City, New Jersey. Fruits, vegetables, sea moss, herbs, spices, freshly squeezed juices, smoothies, and a whole lot more in store for your health at the Fruit House, 764 Broad Street, Brick City, New Jersey. Of course, we got a few websites we think that you should check out. LiquidManna.com, LiquidManna.com for all your oxygen body needs. Check them out. You're going to love what you see. LiquidManna.com. Also visit, support, and show some love to networkingforsuccess.info/Grooveology-360. That is our thank you page to everybody who tunes into this podcast, whether you are a regular or whether you are new to the podcast. We definitely want to thank you for coming in. So check out networking for success.info/Grooveology. That's GROOV like Victor OLOG-360. Those are numbers. That's our thank you page. To all the new listeners on the podcast, we definitely want to welcome you and thank you for coming in on your own or at the invite of somebody else. And for all of those of you who are faithful listeners, we want to thank you for tuning in as well. And thank you for getting your invite on. We know you did it. We know you did it. So we thank you for that, and we appreciate you all. Now, we definitely want you to sit back today and relax because we got a fun-filled, information-packed show for you today to show you one thing that leads into another thing and something that kind of gets in the way. But we're going to paint a bigger picture for you today, all right? It's going to be a continuation of our series, but before we go any further, we still have to put out 2 more websites we think you should visit. That is ProLogicStrategies.com by FloFokuz. That's right, he's in the building, extra hype. He'll be with us later on tonight. Check out his website, ProLogicStrategies.com/news, NEWS. And guess what? There are some announcements up there about upcoming events. August 16th, Grown Folk Talkin Network, Disease Prevention Convention and Health Forum being held at 12 noon till 6 p.m. at the Salvation Army, 699 Springfield Avenue, Newark, New Jersey. That's right. It's on a main drag, and the building extends the whole entire block. So everybody knows where it is. You can't miss it. If you ask for directions or ask somebody about that building and its location, they will point you in the right direction. It's on August 16th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. We have vendors there that are going to have edible treats for you. And I don't mean those kind of edible treats, but edible treats, vegan cuisine. That's right, things for your health, juices as well. Some dessert pies that are not loaded with sugar and preservatives, but that are all natural. And I spoke to somebody who's going to have those there, so I'm bringing some cash. Because last time I was only able to get one, but this time I'm going to have me more than one and have some fun, okay? As well as other products and services being offered by vendors at this event, and over 20 speakers. I will be one of them. FloFokuz is definitely going to try to make it in the building that day. That's right. He's going to have some things for you in a major way. That's right. Check out his website. He's got it all there for you, what he's got in store, coming, and a whole lot more. So make sure you're there at the Dis-Ease Prevention, Convention, and Health Forum, okay? And last but not least, I got to give a shout-out to one lovely lady, Miss Leslie Wright. BearCatBody.com is her website. She's got everything for total body health, but she definitely specializes in eye health. So you got to check out her products. Take a look at them for yourself. I'm not saying or anything that they do anything or whatever. Take a look for yourself. And if you have a problem taking a look, have somebody else look with you. I'm quite sure you'll be surprised and quite pleased in what you will find on her website, okay? She was here in New Jersey live, came all the way from Florida just to be here with us for just a little while. And I most certainly do appreciate that on her behalf, and it made me and other people smile. So once again, BearCatBody.com, lovely Leslie Wright. And if you want to find her on social media, any social media network, I believe TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I believe, it escapes me right now. But most social media websites, go there. You can find her by typing in @BearCatBody. She'll come right up. All right, everybody. Those are our announcements to begin our podcast. And once again, tonight, we continue with a walk through civics. Remember, they don't teach this in school no more. But tonight, we've got something good, and something good is in store. So stick around with us. Also, invite some more people. Get on your text. Come on, bring them on in. We're talking good tonight. Now, a walk through civics. And the title that we've had for the last few weeks, Secrets to the Game Revealed. Secrets to the Game Revealed. Okay? Tonight, our topic is authority and accountability. That is our topic tonight. Authority and accountability. Now, many of those of you who were with us last week, I'm quite sure you will remember that on Friday, we talked about Secrets to the Game Revealed, a walk through civics. And we talked about presumptions and proof. More specifically, presumed innocent until proven guilty. And we talked about how presumptions and proof work off of each other. Today, we show you your position in the land of make-believe. That is where presumptions and proof coexist because they're not absolutes in that land. They repel each other, and it's a paradox because a presumption can only be defeated by proof. But where there is proof, there is no presumption. So in the land of make-believe, they coexist and bounce off of each other. It's a paradox. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. If that could happen, it's a paradox. It's paradoxical. It's not likely to happen. That's like one of us phasing through a wall that's made of solid concrete and steel and about maybe 12 inches, 1 foot thick. Can you imagine one of us phasing into a wall like that from one side to the other? It's a paradox. It's unlikely to happen or to exist. So today, we're going to show you in the land of make-believe your authority. And when you have authority, how you can hold others to accountability. So let's get started. So, continuing with our story, the land of make-believe, which of course we did reference with the trolley in the neighborhood. We remember the guy that used to come on and say how it was such a good feeling to be alive, happy that you're growing inside, all of that good stuff, right? Okay, we remember that. The real world. And then on the other side of the tracks, a land totally made up. But it is a very real, fictional place. Now that's a paradox. A very real, fictional place where anything goes, like Alice in Wonderland. Anything can go. But there are rules that even that land must abide by. So, when we're in this land of make-believe, because all of us find ourselves in it at one time or another, everything sometimes seems to be topsy-turvy, crazy, upside down, turned around, not right. It's just wrong. It's off. It's nothing fun about it. It's incredible. And it's amazingly goofy. Bunch of goofballs and a bunch of jokers that you see on the playing cards, right? The jokers. They wear the hats with the balls on them. They got their faces painted. They wear these funny leotard and leggings and stuff. And what do? They dance around like fools. Jokers and goofballs. Why do we have jokers and goofballs in a made-up land? Well, because number one, this land of make-believe exists in every other place on this rock that we're on. Every single country, landmass, has at least one government controlling, or not controlling, but spread out over an area. Does not mean control. Let me correct that. Not controlling, just spread over a certain geographical location. That identifies where it is seated and what it is related to. In other words, you can say, because this sits here on 123 Anywhere Street, it relates to this geographical location. It's there. Okay. So that particular land of make-believe is a creation of the will of people who, in their infinite thoughts and choices, decided that they were going to create a system that was going to help to maintain certain orders. Excuse me for a moment. Thank you very much for being patient with me. I had to take a sip of water. All right, we're back. Thank you. So, the people, in their infinite wisdom and choices, decided that they were going to create entities, especially on the North American continent, that was going to have a three-tier system. One for creating or legislating acts, not laws, acts. Big difference. there was going to be a tier system, a branch that enforced the acts that were created, because no one was going to be above those acts. They were all going to be subject to those acts. And then you had another tier system, another branch that was going to interpret those acts. And if those acts were violated by someone who was operating within that system, that three-tier system, that land of make-believe, they were going to undergo some type of correction, chastisement, punishment, especially for heinous crimes. So, that's what we were told. And maybe it was that in the beginning. I can't say it was or it wasn't. I can only say that it could have been, or maybe that was the intention, but I wasn't there. So I can only speculate. But I can tell you this. There are checks and balances all in that system. And if you think that the authority, the absolute final authority, belongs to those who are in official capacity, I'm here to tell you that your thinking needs to be retuned. Retuned to another perspective. Because as authoritative as these people may seem, they're really not. Not outside of their tier system. That is why everybody has to opt into the tier system, because they can't come outside of the tier system and pull others in. That's impossible. They're not allowed to, because it's the land of make-believe. It's like a cartoon. Cartoons can't come out of a screen and pull anybody in, although the likeness and imagery of you can be written, created, cartoon, and put into that land as a fictional character or entity. Think LLCs, think sole proprietors, think associations, organizations, and all kinds of other things. Think those. I'm going to do a check here, one moment. All righty. Now, as we continue into our civics and this land of make-believe and these official capacities, let's explain something about authority and accountability. The authority that is given to regulate the official offices and holders of those offices is to the will of those who in perpetuity, meaning forever and ever, generation to generation, is the people. The people are the ones who are given authority to regulate those who are in official capacity. Your office holders, your elected officials, those who are elected, and then appoint. And I don't think I have to go into it, but for example, your lawmakers, your enforcers, and your judges and prosecutors and clerks, just to name a few, They're all in official capacity, but who are they the boss of? They only boss over those in their systems and in their respective branches, because under separation of powers doctrine, one branch cannot exercise the powers of another branch. So there's checks and balances to keep them from intermingling into each other's business. So one branch is not really the boss of the other branch, but they all exist to keep a check and balance over each other. Now, are they the boss of you? Well, that depends. That depends. Are you accountable to them? Well, that depends. Well, what does it depend on? Well, let's go into that. Authority, accountability. As one of the people who exist in your private sector and in your private capacity, you hold authority. You hold the authority. But you also hold accountability for those who are holding official capacity or offices. Now, what do I mean by this? How do you hold authority? You mean to tell me that you can actually give them orders? You can give them directives? Well, yes, in a way you can. Because all of these official office holders do one thing the same. They all take an official oath. Yes, they do. They take an official oath. And every official act has to be authenticated and legitimized. Every single act. That means administering of oaths, the taking of oaths. That is an official act. Writing legislative acts. Those are official acts. Yes, they are. Those senators and those representatives and those congressmen and those people that write up all of these so-called acts of legislation at the state and federal level, those are official acts. They have to be authenticated of legislation. They have to be legitimized. Every single one of them. When your police officers and your prosecutors, your district attorneys, your city attorneys, they take oaths. Your sheriffs, your state police, all of them take oaths. Now, a lot of times people say, well, what does that mean? So what, they take an oath? They violate it all day long. Well, we're going to get to that in a moment. But they take an oath. That oath has to be legitimized. It has to be authenticated. We'll get to that in a moment. Your courts, your judges, your DAs, your attorneys, your stenographers, your clerks, they all take oaths. They are official acts. Administering and taking of oaths are official acts. Judgments on cases, orders, and decrees are all official acts. Duties of the clerks of the court: filing, date stamping, sealing documents. Those are all official acts done by officials who are authorized to do them by the people who put them in their positions, whether by electing them, voting them in, or approving their appointment to those offices. Now let's continue. Once again, we're talking about a journey through civics. the land of make-believe, accountability, and authority. Official acts. Every act that deals with an official office holder, whether they are lawmakers, whether they are in the judicial branch, meaning they're judges, they're clerks, they're prosecutors, they're attorneys, they're public defenders, whether they are enforcers, meaning that they're regular city police or county sheriffs or state police, doesn't matter. They are all in an official capacity. They all do and perform official acts. Those acts have to be legitimized. They have to be authenticated in order to be recognized, in order to be legit, in order for them to actually hold that office in good standing. Where does the authority for that come from? Well, it comes from the will of the people. And what did the will of the people decide? Well, the people decided that when you have these people who are operating as officials, meaning they have labels, they have titles, they're in a certain capacity other than that of in the private sector, they're operating in public. What that means is that they are to be transparent because they have to service a multitude of people, and they have to be open and forthcoming with their information and with their actions, what they're doing, what they're holding, what they have. They have to be transparent. They have to be above board. They have to be legitimate. They cannot keep anything from anybody because it's not their job. They're to be open, like a book. That authority is vested in the people to make sure that the officials perform their duties and do them in good conduct and in good standing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the authority to oversee is vested within the people to make sure that your officials operate in good conduct and in good standing, meaning behavior. How do we do that? Well, authority. How do we have authority? Well, we have authority because we have a right to know what our officials are doing publicly all the time. We have a right to know what is it that they're doing that is supposed to be in the best interest of the people that they serve as they interface with other entities, other nations around the globe, as they deal with us as people, just walking around, private people walking in public. That's right. You're still private when you're in public. Let nobody else fool you on that one. You're still private. Your jurisdiction goes with you. It's only if you give up that jurisdiction that now they can actually treat you like you're one of them. But the authority to hold these people accountable is already written. So, for example, and I know we hear about this all the time, but let's just say for the sake of ha-has and giggles, we have a family court matter. I'm just going to say that. And you have one person on this side, you got a guy, you got another person on this side, you got a woman, and in between them two, maybe a child or more. Okay. And it seems that they find themselves in this quote-unquote courtroom situation. And here come some directives about who's going to pay what, who the children are going to live with, and due to the fact that the parties are not living under the same roof, the presumption is that this is the only way that the children are going to be taken care of. If an intervention occurs and someone gives out directives to these two private people, And moving forward, these private people in this private capacity find themselves subject to public interest and public policy. And they feel as though, or at least one of them may feel as though they've been violated. They've been harmed in some type of way. They're being treated in such a way that they shouldn't be. It's not that it's unfair treatment. It's just that the policies that are applied to them, they believe are not legit, not legitimate policies. But there comes another interesting situation with that. And that situation comes into the form of, well, how can you say that this is not legitimate when children need to be cared for? And nobody's saying they're not. But nobody ever said that anybody had the right to come in and start regulating people's private affairs, especially when two grown-ups were in private and made children in private, so they raise them privately. I don't recall anybody being in the room with them when they were doing their thing, telling them or directing them then. I don't remember that. But as it goes, who gave anybody in an official capacity, which is a subordinate capacity to the people that they serve, the right to tell these people what to do, apart from any heinous criminal action being facilitated by one person onto another person? Doesn't happen. And all through the judicial system, it seems that this follows suit. People are getting put out of their homes, are being foreclosed at a record and alarming rate. They're being evicted at a record and alarming rate. People are being brought up on charges of acts that they didn't commit, they've never done. It's never been proven that they've done it, but yet they're ending up at this new place of residency where their movements are controlled. You can't leave. And it's just not a great place to be. It's not a good place and a good space. How do we end up here? And how do we as the people with authority end up in these situations? Because we don't know how to hold these people accountable and the authority that we have to hold them accountable. Now, pay attention real quick because I'm going to run through this. Remember, I said that every official, whatever act that they do, is considered an official act. Official acts have to be, number one, authenticated. Number two, that makes them legitimate, meaning above board. It's the real McCoy. It's the real deal. That was put in place as a safety measure against things falling apart and being done frivolously. Meaning just because we want to, or arbitrarily, just because we think or feel that we can do this, we will do this. No, 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 no. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you what we're looking for here. We're not looking at the harm itself only. No, that's a byproduct. What we're looking at is we're looking at people who are supposed to follow a certain form and function, meaning when they become officials and they have official titles, they swear an oath. That oath has to have a seal on it. That document must be sealed with an official seal of someone who administers that oath and who has the authority to take a seal and emboss that oath with the signatures on it. That legitimizes that oath. That holds that person accountable. Because it's expressed, it's tangible. You can feel it, you can see it, you can hold it. You can look at it. You can even smell it, touch it, handle it. That's the agreement that is made between those who take an official position and those who granted them that position by voting them in. That oath is sealed with the authority that the people vested in those who administer those oaths. It's all written down there. And then those oaths have to be filed with the proper offices within those branches of government, those tier systems, in order for them to be legitimate. So there is a process that it must go through. Now, let me say this. A lot of times there are acts performed by those in official capacities that seem to be just off the charts, like they're just out of control. And sometimes people say, hey, well, listen, I'm gonna go look up your oath. And you know what they say? Well, go ahead, fine, look it up. Because number one, they don't think you will. And number two, when you look up their oath, they don't know if you'll know what you're looking at, because 9 times out of 10, they may not even know what you're supposed to be looking for either. But what are you looking for? Okay, number one, does this person have an oath? Is this officer? Is this judge? Is this clerk? Is this bailiff? Is this DA? Does this lawmaker, this senator, this representative, this assemblyman, this councilman, this mayor, this governor, do they have an oath? Where is it? Well, we can find it. Secretary of State's office, Executive's office, Freeholder's office, Supreme Court? Yeah. Respective to the different tiers, yes. What sits above them? The Oversight Committee? Yes. Those oaths are filed at those offices of administration. And if they're not filed, and these people are acting in an official capacity without those oaths being filed, without those oaths being legitimized or embossed, sealed with a raised seal, that's what authenticated means. That means that that oath is now legitimate. It now is recognized as official. It's complete. And the one who took that oath is bound to what they swore to do according to that oath, which means anything outside of what they swore to do are acts of treason, sedition, can be considered acts insurrection if they rile up people. Those are very serious charges because they speak directly to what someone is supposed to do and supposed to steer clear of doing. Because they swore and they allowed it to be written on paper and they sealed it with their own signature, they signed it with their own signature and allowed that paper to be sealed, embossed. Bam, gotcha. That's your contract to the people. That's your promise to the people, your guarantee to the people that you will hold your office in good behavior and in good standing, and you will not do anything against the dignity and the peace of the people of the state where you serve. That goes for all branches of government. When your court case has been concluded, Do you see the seal of the clerk on any of your documents? When you receive a ticket from an officer who claims you were speeding, or that you were illegally parked, or that you were recklessly driving, or even driving under the influence, there's a case file. Does the seal of the clerk of that court appear on any documents in that case file? And I don't mean an ink stamp, I mean a seal, along with an ink stamp. What about the acts that the legislature signs off on? Are those under seal? Or do they just have a bunch of signatures on them?
The host has muted the conference. This line cannot be unmuted.
What about when the policy enforcers say that they have a warrant? You have to see that warrant. And they tell you, well, it's signed by a judge. Yeah, but it's not sealed by the clerk. Judge can sign anything he wants to. It's the clerk that has the power to legitimize and authenticate that. That's what gives authority. That says, yes, this is okay. This passes the muster test. Now, if it's not there, if it doesn't appear there, you can now hold these people accountable. And I'm not saying you argue with them right then and there at the moment. I'm not saying that. But now you have the power to hold them accountable because you know what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do, what is supposed to be evident on the oath that they take, the promises that they make, the guarantees that they offer. Versus, what do? They did something wrong to us. They harmed us. They hurt us. They injured us. They destroyed things. They did this and did that. Yes, we know. But in the land of make-believe, if you can't get them at the Achilles heel, if you can't pin them down, if you can't say, hey, this is your oath. Remember this? Does this have a seal on it? Like it's supposed to? Because it was your responsibility, officer, judge, DA, public defender, bailiff, lawmaker. It was your duty to make sure that this was sealed. Not anybody else's. Because your signature appears on here. But I don't see a seal on here, which means you are an imposter. You are not operating in good behavior or good standing because this oath is not legitimized. It's not worth the paper it appears on. You are an imposter. I'll let that sink in for a minute. That is how we as people have authority to hold officials accountable for their behavior and their conduct. That is how we have authority and accountability to those who are in the land of make-believe. Because when we have authority and we know it, and now we know how to hold others accountable, we step out of the land of make-believe and we're back in the land of reality because now we go with power because we have knowledge and we have working knowledge of what these people are supposed to be doing. Not what we think, not what we believe, but we know because we have cold, hard proof. And we can have it in hand. Yes, we can. That is what gets their goat. Because once we hold them accountable. We are now operating in our authority to what? Regulate, to course correct, to walk in to their place, not disruptively, but as a collective of concerned people who will then approach whoever we need to approach and say, hey, listen, I know you guys are on your lunch break, but all 117 of us in the community are here right now. We're not going to be disruptive, but once you finish your lunch break, we're having a meeting. You don't take any more business for the day because we want to talk to you. We have some concerns and some legitimate ones at that. And oh, by the way, each and every one of you sitting in here who was voted in or appointed in with our approval, guess what we got here? We got each and every one of your oaths in our hands. So go ahead and finish your lunch. Because once you're done, we're having a meeting. Oh, and by the way, your superiors already know. So don't call them, because they're going to tell you what we just told you. We got some concerns, and we're going to address them here today. That is the authority that makes them cringe. Because now you have the power to hold them accountable for acts. And once you can hold them accountable for not performing, for non-performance, or even for not having a legitimized, authenticated oath of their office because no seal appears and because it's not filed in the correct place where it should be on record, they are now an imposter. What happens to an imposter when they're found out? I'll leave it there. Okay. Because remember, oaths, when it comes to official people who are acting in official capacities, their oath is dated the day that they take it. And it is up to them to have that oath sealed and filed in the correct office for public access, which means it must go through a process. And it is up to the one who takes the oath, not the one who administers, the one who swears the oath, to get this done as part of their official duty to show that they are worthy of holding that office and holding the trust of the people. They are trustees. Remember that. They're not the bosses. They're the ones who are carrying out the will, the orders, the directives of the people. It's not the other way around. So, they do not get to amend or fix well after the fact. No. There is a time limit on that. And once that time limit has run, and they have not gotten that done, hands down, they are imposters. They are, in effect, against all of the people that provided a way for them to hold the trust of their office. And in trust law, because they are trustees, that is so serious. That's no laughing matter. You don't get to correct that when somebody brings that up. No, because that's in the public. That means someone from the private sector can be in a public building, which they are still a private person, and request to see every single oath they want to see to make sure that, hey, they're all legitimate. They're all legitimized. And if this person is acting in bad behavior and has a legitimized oath, then they're accountable as well for their behavior. So the door swings both ways. This is what is supposed to keep them on point. It's just that this information has not been shared to the people. So we think they're supposed to regulate themselves. Oh, no, no, no. That's like the fox watching the hen house, my man. Come back and ain't going to be no hens left.
Coming through okay, extra height.
But what do they cringe at? Being reminded you are a trustee. Here's your word of honor in my hand on this document. And because it is written, they can't go back on it. And guess what? If they're supposed to have one and they don't, that's even worse. Because you mean to tell me you've been given directives, you've been given orders, you've been exercising an official capacity that you were never qualified to hold. How did you sneak in here? Who snuck you through the door? Never mind. Don't tell us. We'll find out. What you're doing behind the scenes, because you never gave your word to the people. And guess what? Ever heard of citizen's arrest? Okay. I'm going to leave it there. Leave it there. That's when you exercise authority. That's when you show people their accountability and to whom they are accountable to. And for what reason. The guarantee and the promise that they gave you. Once again, secrets to the game revealed. The foreclosure document is not sealed by the clerk. Doesn't have the authority of the court. Doesn't have it. Third-party debt collector takes you to court. Says they're going to sue you for funds that you haven't paid to them. Well, number one, you never had a contract with them. But number two, there is no assignment right. And that's another one. An assignment of rights to a third party. That is a legitimate, bona fide contract which transfers assets from one to another. But the original parties and the third party to that arrangement must all agree. Without that, there is no assignment of rights. Tell you what, I would be hard pressed to say this, but anyone who's been into a situation where third-party collectors are coming at you and saying, oh, well, you owe us money because we bought your debt. You bought the debt. So you bought the debt with debt. I don't think you can do that. I don't think debt can buy anything, especially more debt. But okay. And the judge says, well, okay, you owe him money, so pay him. Boom. That's the order of the court. A few days later, go back and see if the clerks put a seal on that, which they're supposed to do with every official act. Remember that. Every official act must be sealed. Has to be. Just like every register at Walmart has to be counted at the end of the shift. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. There are no discretionary rules about this. Hey, I don't feel like it today, I'll just do it next time. No. This is a requirement. This is a requirement. But for the longest time, we've been kept in the dark. For the longest time. Now the choice is yours. I'm not telling anybody what you have to do. I'm not trying to convince you to do anything. Listen, your decision and your choice is always yours. What we do here is simply present you with information. That is it. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm not encouraging you to do anything. I am just putting this out here for you to know. And to fact check. Fact check it, please. Please. Please fact check it if you're interested. That's also your choice. But it is our duty to know. That's a duty. That's not an option. That is a duty. Because we have a responsibility as well to maintain what we have here and not let things get out of pocket and out of control. That's on us. It's not on them. When the kids are messing up in the class, when the teacher's not there, and it's a substitute teacher, and they're just running all over the sub. It's not because there was no authority there. It's because the authority was not exercised properly. What the kids did, they just did what they wanted for the day because the regular teacher wasn't there. So everybody, the journey through civics. These are the things, the nuts and bolts that are important. They are. They're very important. But it's up to us whether we want to be the quality control experts, agents, specialists. That's going to be up to us. Because these offices don't hold themselves in balance. They answer to a higher authority. That authority is us people. That's us. We're the ones, not them, us. Okay, you know. Okay, so on to our announcements. I just want to let everybody know that FloFokuz, Prince, you've heard him. He has done something with ProLogic Strategies that I really do enjoy. It's profound. I love the way he thinks. He has taken a section of ProLogicStrategies.com and put a /news, N-E-W-S. Why did he do that? To bring you all news announcements from ProLogic Strategies. You can go to the website link, ProLogicStrategies.com/news. And you can see when we are scheduled to come on the Grown Folk Talkin Network, Mondays and Fridays at 6 p.m. Also, the Disease Prevention Convention Health Forum, August 16th at the Salvation Army, hosted by the Grown Folk Talkin Express Yourself Network. That's right, as well as other announcements within the community, as well as anyone else who wishes to announce something that is coming up. ProLogicStrategies.com/news will have you covered. Just reach out to FloFokuz, go to the website, send them an email, send them a chat message, call the number there, leave a message, and you and he will have a conversation of sorts. So once again, ProLogicStrategies.com/news. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So once again, August 16th is the Grown Folk Talkin Express Yourself Network Disease Prevention Convention Health Forum at the Salvation Army, 699 Springfield Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. with over 20 speakers. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Thurston Bilal, also worked with Dr. Savvy, will be presenting that evening along with a host of other speakers right here from the Grown Folk Talkin Network and other affiliated and associated entities as well. Plenty of vendors there with cuisines and with goods, services, and offerings. So make sure you come on out. Leave a donation at the door. It's for the community. It's towards a good cause. As well as the vendors, make sure you bring a little bit of, pocket change with you. You might want to sample some wares. You might want to get some healthy tonics, some healthy drinks, some supplements, some minerals, and some other goodness that will be available at our August 16th event. And the shows coming up for tomorrow, I'll announce them before we continue on. At 7 a.m., we'll have the prayer call with Miss Carol Lucille. Start your day in a very positive and energetic way. The prayer call every day, 7 days a week, 7 a.m. with Miss Carol Lucille. 6 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, you'll have Miss Jada and Miss Karen with Grace Space. 6 p.m., you'll definitely want to tune into that show. They have plenty of good topics, good information, people that come on and share a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information to help you along your way through this life that we live every day. And of course, Jada and Miss Karen, they have the most indomitable but empathetic and sincere intentions for you. So when you talk with them, trust me, you are among friends. That's 6 p.m., Grace Space with Jada and Karen right here on the Grown Folk Talk and Express Yourself Network. And at 7:30 p.m., she will be back again, Miss Carol Lucille, with the pink sofa. Yes, indeed. And guess what? Unfortunately, guys, tomorrow is women only. I'm sorry, that's the rule. First and third Tuesdays of the month, women only, second and fourth. And if there's a fifth Tuesday in the month, all are welcome. So tomorrow, it's just for the ladies. And ladies, tune in. There are good discussions, I'm quite sure, that go on you guys' nights. Also, invite a friend. Listen. Upon all of these podcasters, my fellow podcasters, they really do a tremendous job at preparing. Sometimes there are technical difficulties. We know sometimes these things happen. But the show must go on, and they are dedicated. They are dedicated to bringing you the best in information that they can bring. So make sure you invite a friend. You never know who might experience something life-changing from one of the podcasts, and it will be all because you asked them just to listen in. So everybody, that will be tomorrow's lineup podcast. If you are involved in some positive activity in your community or with a group or an entity, if you're doing something positive, because what we are about here on this network is promoting positivity throughout our communities. Yes, that is one of the main things that we are dedicated to. If you are involved in something positive, I want to hear about it. I want you to shout it out right here. Let us hear it. Don't be afraid. Because we want to hear that, because that helps to strengthen us to know that others who are involved in something positive, something good for the community, good for your family, good for yourself, that makes it all worthwhile for us here. So, hey, okay, well, I'm quite sure that most of us here are involved in some type of positive activity, whether it could be giving mentorships to people, participating in some coaching programs, some sports programs, maybe some kind of things for underprivileged children who don't get enough to do in the community. We're quite sure that you have something or you are involved in something, and we want to thank you for coming on the line as well tonight, because Hey, listen, if it's not for you, then we're not here either. But it's all because of you that we do what we do here on this network. So we definitely want to thank you for being on. We want to thank you for listening in, chiming in. We want to thank you for just voicing and speaking out here on the podcast. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my most capable, supermassive, extra height team member, FloFokuz. You got the floor, buddy.
Yes, sir. Man, I appreciate it. See, this is what's so great about what we're doing. We can offer platforms to people who are doing amazing things in their communities and in other people's lives, things like that. And often enough, those types of things go unappreciated or underappreciated. So, we want to give these few moments here under these circumstances to shine a light on people that's doing a great job for the community, bringing something that, is worthwhile and is uplifting and something that most people don't really have a chance to get involved with in other circumstances. So, bringing this to, let's say, like, lower income people or single fathers, things like that. There's a lot of different things that can go on. So we want to try to give you guys the ability to speak your mind and get the word out on the things that you're doing. Okay. Because, hey, we're just a couple of, knuckleheads here spreading the word about what we're doing. So we're hoping that we grow this community and we grow this conversation into something that actually can plant roots down somewhere and exist in perpetual abundance, I guess you could say, because that's really where I wanted to go with this conversation. What you were talking about was very meticulous in the mechanics of our society, but I come from more of a philosophical perspective and I see things from afar. I kind of like to zoom out on our situation. So, I look at the whole
Mm-hmm.
system as like a circuit. It's like a circuit board, if you will. And we are the actual input and outputs, but the system, there's a lot of things that have to happen before we our input becomes output. Okay, so you can't eat my labor, so somehow I have to be compensated for my labor if I'm going to help you do something. If I you know want your help with something, we've got to come to some agreement that says, my energy, time, effort, attention is going towards something. And a lot of times we look at what other people are doing to justify what we can then do. So I think about this whole system in a funny way. It's like, so for example, you said, and whenever something happens on 123 Avenue, it's part of the system. So I says, okay, okay. You're actually looking at a map and you put one of those overhead projectors down and you said, okay, now we're drawing the land into grids. This is A Avenue, this is Z Avenue, and these are those in between. Now we will number them 1 to 20 on this block and 20 to 40 on this block and so on. So now these all have to coincide with something. Why are we dividing up the streets? It's like, well, people have to live there, right? And we got to make sure that if they need something, we can pinpoint where they are. So, okay, we're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Robinson, come over here to this house. Now, a lot of people worked really hard to put this house together. So it's going to cost a lot of what we like to call money. And what's this money stuff, right? Where does it keep coming from? How did it get here? And how does it actually work? You know what I mean? If, for lack of a better term, it all kind of turned into an idea. It started out as an idea and it remains an idea, but this idea has been crystallized into forms of dollars and cents. And now we missed the whole idea of money. And now we talk about it in this crystallized form, meaning we now think of it as an object that has to then be, I guess you can say, mined. We can mine this stuff because it
Mm-hmm.
only exists if big guy in the sky over there, in the big hill up top decides to pull the lever and more of the money comes out. But then, whoa, wait a minute, he just printed money. What does that mean for the
Mm-hmm.
whole system? Our
Mm-hmm.
economics experts, they call that inflation, right?
Yes.
They say, oh no, well, there's more money in the system now. So what are we gonna do? We gotta raise the prices because it's like a, a, how you say, a balance. It's to balance somehow
Mm-hmm.
these books to say, well, shucks, if there's extra money here, then that means we can collect more money because we have to, because it actually makes our money worth less because now
Mm-hmm.
more people have it. So I am going to be stuck with my money when someone else gets to use that. Wait a minute, how does this money stuff work again? This is where it starts to get insane. It's like, what are we really talking about when we're talking about money? Okay, I think it comes down to it's the response to an action. It's to say, just like I was trying to start out with, it's like we can't eat intention. So if I intend to do something, then I have to express that intention. So maybe I'll write it on a piece of paper. So now that piece of paper has to go somewhere for someone to read it to say, this is my intention. Therein lies these authentications that have to happen. Because I could just
Mm-hmm.
send the mail here. Oh, send $4 million to myaccount.com. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. But wait. This isn't even. It's written in crayon, and what else can I say? It's just this is unofficial. We can't accept this. I'm sorry. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for working with us, and we hope to see you back at our location again. Here's some pamphlet and literature to take with you. For our service. It's like come back when we can understand what you want because you gave me something that I don't understand. It doesn't compute. Doesn't I don't get it. So then I come back the next day with a money order, and I got it from the post office, and I endorse it, all this stuff, and I go, here you go, bank clerk, cash this for me. Oh, great. I understand what that means. Cash. I go give it to the guy in the back. He goes and puts a stamp on it. And then now this is a document that disappears and now money comes out and I'm happy now. I leave. I don't care anymore. I love that I got this money. So now I just got to use this money now to get more money orders to go cash and get more money to go get more money orders because I keep having to use this money to do stuff. Money needs to be used to get food, clothing, shelter, all of these things. Even our joy and our happiness is it's mitigated by money. We can't have fun because we got to make money. So how does this stuff work again? Where the heck does it come from? you know so I'll go on because I am rambling, but I'm getting into what I'm trying to say here. So now what ends up happening is now that we're playing this game and we're not using as much money as we're bringing in, so now we're gaining some kind of an amassment. We're gaining some profit here, right? So now it says, oh boy, I can do so much more now. But oh, man, I gotta help out this guy over here because he's one of my best friends, man, and I hate to see him down like this. So I gotta figure out how much of my money I can spare to never see again. This money is just it's not gonna help me get more money. It's just gonna be gone. And I gotta appreciate the fact that my bro is about to do what he has to do with it, and hopefully, if he gets on his feet with it, then more power to him. And if not, then I have to take it as a loss because that's my bro. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Or let me make him sign this promise to repay. Let's call it a promissory note, right? IOU, if you will. Yeah, and I says, hey, buddy, you got 2 years to pay me this $10,000 back. 2 years, here you go. Listen, you're my bro. You know, don't worry about it. And the interest will just be, 2%. I don't know. That I want to make it as easy for you, but I don't want to make it too easy to where this is free money for you, right? Because you can't appreciate this free money. Money doesn't grow on trees. I worked hard for this money, you know? So what is happening to my effort when I give it to him and he squanders it? It's like, okay, I can be mad, I can't be mad. Now I've got this document that says, are you gonna are you gonna fulfill this obligation? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, where do we go to enforce this? But then what ends up happening? We go there, it gets enforced, and then he's forced to pay this dollar amount that he doesn't have. So where does it come from? Well, the judge says, well, hey, look, we're gonna it's just gonna come to you in the mail, and but we're gonna go after him for it, and we're gonna take care of that because y'all are all part of this club. Y'all are all part of this group. Y'all are all here agreeing. Here's your signature here saying you're part of this club. Here's your name here on this dotted line. You guys are part of this, so I'm the arbitrator. I'm gonna see to it that you guys have a fair and just interaction so that in the future this becomes the norm. This becomes the settlement for these, strange wackadoo situations. I know you got into this in a way where you tried to look out for yourself, but now your bro over here, he had some circumstances that were beyond his control, and now he can't do what he promised to do. So how are we going to fix this? What is this money thing that keeps having to come up? That puts this guy up here to say now I've got to figure out this conundrum between these two guys when really just give the man a bite to eat, give him a place to stay, give him a steady place to go use his time, energy, effort, and abilities to embed it to better some other location. There's plenty of things that need to be done in our community. That street in the road back there, let's go get some tar. Your community service to pay off his debt is 42 hours. Whatever, we're gonna do the calculations right here. There you go. You fill in the pothole. He gets his money back. Everybody is happy. Gavel. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry. So we're coming to this conclusion here that everything in society is made in order to keep this money moving, keep this idea that we have that obligations have to be fulfilled. So now we've got to figure out all these checks and balances to keep this stuff in order. It's like now if one guy skips out on his agreement, we've got to go find him. Sheriff and police officers, what do you have? Tax creditors and these types of things, because it's like, well, you can't not be held accountable. You can't not be held accountable. So now here's what we're doing. We're all we're doing is holding people accountable in society. That's it. Money is like some idea we made up that was supposed to be an indicator of how well you are doing in society. I don't know, for lack of a better way to put it. It's supposed to be some sort of indicator of your progress. But it turns
Hmm.
out that it's a lot more than that because it's involved with a lot more of our lives than we care to have it. So in business, in commerce, in this system, philosophically, it's made for you to mess up and recover. Mechanically, we're missing that connection that says, okay, trial and error. Okay, the problem that I'm seeing today is that it's a I'll call it like a battle between your good conscience and your better judgment. You know what I mean? It's saying I want to be a martyr. I want to, not to say martyr, but I want to go and give what I can and essentially, become a martyr. Not to say who wants to be a martyr, but it's essentially giving of yourself in order to increase the wholeness of your society versus I'm going to hold on to what I have so that I can continue to grow what I have so that eventually I can do this thing that I want to do with the society at large. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not me that's going
Yeah.
to do the thing. So I actually have to hold on to this money and make it a big money so that whoever comes after me can do the big societal thing. But when does that ever happen if we're stuck in this cycle?
But here's the thing, everybody. I gave the mechanics. I gave the mechanics, and I gave it very meticulously about some things, some actions that would benefit us if we take those actions. Okay. And like I said, I'm not saying anybody has to do this. I'm not saying that. But I am saying and agreeing that it is our duty to make sure that we provide the checks and balances for those that are serving the needs of the community and not trying to overrun the community. It's our duty to make sure that those checks and balances stay in place. Because if we don't do it, nobody else can. So that is left to us. But here's the thing. One thing that we get hung up on, and I'll say this, we get hung up on a lot of things that we see in terms of, well, what do we do in this situation? Well, I'm going to take him over here, go to court, and I'm going to sue him. Those things between us are to be handled in the private sector privately. Let me say that again. Those things between private people have nothing to do with public interest or policies. We're taking our affairs to areas and to people that really have nothing to do with it. And we're saying to them, hey, you decide for us. That's like the parents going to the kids and saying, hey, kids, we see how y'all got a system of working things out here when y'all don't get along or when things don't go right and y'all kind of handle it amongst yourselves. Well, me and your mama here, we got this issue going on here, and we just want to know, what do y'all think that we should do about this? Because he did this and he did that, and she did this and she did that. So who do you say is right or wrong? Would we really do that? I don't think we would. Because things that are between those who are in authority stay between those who are in authority. All this other nonsense going on, suing this one, suing that one, taking this one over here, taking that one over here, saying this one did that, me too, oh, and this happened, and oh, my feelings are so hurt. Yeah, you decide. Wait a minute, hold on. We've already got our rights. We already got unlimited rights that are forever, perpetual. It can go on and on and on as far as light goes. Okay? We have our separation of sectors for a reason. Private sector, public sector. When we go out in public, we're not a member of the public, but we are walking on common ways for the private and the public. The sidewalk is an easement. It's provided for everyone, public and private. Just like if you look on a dollar bill, what does it say? This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. It acknowledges both sides. It's written. We can read it. It's even on the money. So what we got hung up on what? That's like the boss going to the employee saying, what do you think we should do? What are your rules about this and that? The employees are saying, what are you talking about? You hired us. We're doing what you want us to do. What do you mean? You want us to decide what for you? Really? All right, then. Let's clap these hands together. Uh-huh. We got hung up. And I'm not saying it's our fault, but I'm saying what happened, we got hung up on something that had nothing to do with anybody else except for us in our private capacities. And we took it somewhere where it didn't belong because we put too much credit into those and elevated them higher than us when they're serving at our pleasure. This is what civics is, everybody. This is where we go. This is where we take it. This is what we learn and know. And remember, they took this out of the schools. And look what happened to the generations that missed this. They're lost now. They're wandering. They're looking, but they don't know what they're looking for. And those of us who have ears, we are the ones that get the message out to them. We don't have to convince nobody, but we just got to put it out there. Because when we're confident in what we're saying and we can back up what we're saying, then it makes all the difference in the world. We got to take the reins back. Nobody else is going to do that for us. We got to do it. So, I mean, a stallion will buck and jump and spin and twist, and he'll try to throw the rider off his back because he's wild, untamed, unbroken. But when that rider gets back up on his back, and that horse will do that same thing all over again, that rider will fall, get all scarred up, but he'll get right back on his back again. And they'll go until that horse finally gets tired of throwing that rider off of his back. And he may be bruised, he may be scarred, he may be scratched, he may be bleeding, he may be hurting. But that horse has now allowed him to ride him. He broke him. Because when he tried to saddle him up, he was untamed. Had to break him. Well, sometimes situations call for that. That's when you have to flex your authority and flex your muscles. And once somebody respects your authority, now you have accountability staring at them. They don't want to mess that up because that's more serious than anything we ever know. The Lambs of make-believe, they're all about ka-ching, ka-ching. Prisons for profit. We heard about that. Privatizing things for profit. We've heard about that. Why? Because ain't nobody holding them accountable. Charm, no harm. All right, everybody. Last announcement. All of you who are not familiar, we have our Flip Side Friday this month. That's right. The 5th Friday in the month is Flip Side Friday, 6 p.m. The Grown Folk Talking Network on our Cooler Talk show. It is Flip Side Friday. And that's going to be prizes, games, and grand prizes. All the same. Similar to what we did last time. So you're definitely going to want to tune in. You're going to want to invite. And guess what? You're going to want to respond when we send out the notifications of bonus points that you can get and use on this Flipside Friday toward the bonus prizes. So those are going to go out. And if I do not have your communication to get this to you, please contact me through either Miss Carol or Forrest on the network or one of the other podcasters that has my information. Get your information to one of them to get it to me, and I'll make sure we put you on the list so that you can be a part of Flipside Friday and be in on the running on that bonus prize because we got some good stuff coming up. Our committee has really outdone themselves this month, I'm telling you. So, with that being said, FloFokuz, brother, it's all yours. Take it away.
Yes, sir. Well, another fascinating uh, showcase here tonight, guys, and I just want to say thanks to everyone who, came out to take a listen, whether, here live or online afterward. And I'm going to end up having this a bit more edited so that it's a bit more presentable to the people watching later. And I just want to say, to but the morality part of it comes from saying, do we have a duty or are we just stuck trying to protect everything that we have? Do we have a duty to our people or are we stuck being gatekeepers? And who wants to really be a martyr out here in these streets? And mastermind group, my first question would be, how do we care for those willing to throw themselves into fire to stop our growth? That's really the only question I'd ever have for anything like this. Because at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people don't understand the abundance that this world can offer. And if we can come to some conclusion that, if the people can find what's right within their hearts and, give the time, energy, and effort necessary and stop the dog eat dog thing, then maybe, the world would be a better place, right? But it's like there's people here that sabotage us every day. And, I just say that with the same respect where I'm like, I want to give to the world. I want the world to have its chance to stand tall and speak its piece, you know? But at the end of the day, I want people to just think whenever you're climbing that ladder, just remember you don't have a duty or responsibility only to the people that agree with you. You have a duty and responsibility to those who disagree as well. So, how do we care for those willing to throw themselves into fire to stop us from growing? And with that, I'll say thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us and tune in next week. This later on this Friday for another Cooler Talk podcast with yourself. Yours truly, myself, FloFokuz, and my very special friend there, Marcus. 6 p.m. every Monday and Friday, guys. Thanks so much. And remember, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Do
until
about it.
next time, ladies and gentlemen, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.